Good evening, everyone. We are here today. Today is the last day of our series. We've been talking about the, the psychology of spiritual joy. So today we're going to talk about a few things. First of all, let's redefine. Let's really just remember about joy, what it is about, the difference about joy and happiness. And let's just remember that happiness is something that usually happens to you. Happiness is self-centered. Happiness is what the world can give to you. It's about the feeling that you get based on whatever circumstances. So happiness is a good thing. We want to feel happy. We want to always get things happening to us and then we feel a sense of happiness. So happiness is a feeling that you get when something happens to you, something that usually will also not happen. So happy, sad, those are just feelings. Those are just different states of humor. Now, when we're talking about joy, it's the alignment with God. Joy is a much deeper feeling. It's really not a feeling. It's I would say it's an acquired intrinsic attitude, right? That along the times you no longer worry so much about happiness, which is based on your self-centeredness, which it's fine. We're supposed to get happy when good things happen to us. But joy is about others. Joy is about doing towards others instead of having others do to you. So when I base my life on happiness, I'm also saying that I will depend on what others do to me or for me. So when I put that I want to be a happy person, I will depend on the circumstances. If something is good, then I'll be happy. If it's bad, I'll be sad. But if I align myself with God and I decide to say, I want to be joyful regardless of whatever happens, I want to be full of joy, that's when you start to not worry about your self-centeredness. You worry about others. You start to say, well, you know what? God is aligned with my inner self and he's got my back, right? So that is joy. And that's what we really should worry about cultivating instead of worrying so much about getting these brief moments of happiness. I want to put something up here. And it's interesting because I want to put something up here. And let me see if it comes up. It says that when we free our minds and heart from envy, resentment, to covet, judgment, then we can really, really appreciate our own and others' well-beings. Now, what's the problem with that? A lot of times we envy. What is envy? Envy is not wanting what somebody else has. That's coveting. You can covet something that somebody else has. Maybe that lady has a nice purse that you want. Maybe that man has a car that you thought it was great and you want the same one. So you may covet that. But that's still not really, envy. Envy is much deeper and you cannot be, and that's why I want to concentrate today on, if you're an envious person, you cannot be joyful. Because envy is all about the ego. It's all about the self. It's all about you and you and you. And when you're envious, you don't want what others have. When you're an envious person, you don't want what your friend has. You just want them to not have it, which is very, very dangerous. See, the difference is when you covet, you want what the other person has. When you envy, you don't want them to have. And we have to be very careful because when you're happy for your friend's happiness, that is in alignment with joyfulness, because that's in alignment with what God has always taught us, to love one another, to wish each other well. Why is it that when we have a business, you can choose, if you have a business, you can choose to compete or to cooperate. You don't have to compete. There are some people that will call, and I heard this lady, it was just on the news the other day, and this lady she has a very serious physical disability, and she just had no money. She had no way to pay for, whatever it was. I don't want to go into lawful stuff. The whole point of saying is that this lady started doing nails at her house to her friends. So her friends would come over and she would do nails, and she would get some money for that. it was the beginning. She didn't know what to do. She had a child. She was a single mom. She had come into very tough times, and she had a physical disability, which she couldn't get any help, no government, no nothing. And a salon owner that was right down the road, what did they do? They called the officials to go, and they had hope that they would shut her down or arrest her or fine her and all of that. Now, I'm not here to talk about the legalities of doing anything like that. That's not the point. The point is, when you pick up the phone to call so somebody else doesn't have it, for them to lose what they have, that's envy. That is envy. So we have to be very careful, because you see, the salon owner didn't covet what she had, because the salon owner had much more than this lady that was just, maybe she had 3 or 4 people coming in once, I don't know, but they were envious because of what she had. They had more, if they had more. So we have to be very careful, because a joyful person will not exercise jealousy. They will not exercise envy, especially to the level that we're talking about here. So we have to be very careful, because I can covet something and then I can work and I can acquire. But once I envy something, I no longer want what the other person has. I just want them not to have it. And sometimes, again, I even have physically more than they have, but I want them not to be successful. And that is the complete antidote to being joyful. And we have to understand, if I want to be full of joy, I like to always say, you should give exactly what you don't have. And that's very a strange thing when we talk about that. Why? How do I give what I don't have? Well, if you want to have it, you have to give it. Well, Deborah, you're making me confused. Well, when you feel that you don't have love, or someone doesn't love you, what is the best thing you should do? Start giving love. Start finding something to put love into. Oh, I don't have any talents. If you have no talents, start something to develop your talent. So give talent. You don't have to have it. You'll develop along the way. So, oh, I don't have any friends. Well, then you have to go out and be a friend to somebody else. So every time that you don't have something, it's just not true. We have everything we need. But sometimes it's just sleeping within us. And we have to put it out there. So this really becomes this it just becomes its engine, So when you feel that you're not being loved, then go out and love someone. When you feel that you need a friend, go out and start offering your friendship to those who think they also don't have friends. So we have to exercise this, because once we exercise this, then we start to be joyful, because we don't depend on what others do to us or for us, or they give us. I don't know about you folks, but I don't want to live a life depending on how others make me feel. I want to live life generating this joyfulness within me, because then I am full of joy regardless of what is given or not given to me. And that is only achieved through practice of love, of charity, of giving others, because happiness is self-centered. Joyfulness is not self-centered. It's other-centered. So put yourself out there. We see this pandemic. What do people do? They're judging. Well, that goes against the grain of being full of joy. Once you start judging others, you are showing your envy and you're jealous. And there's a whole psychological issue there when you start judging people. You put yourself as you're better than them, as you know more than them, as they are not worthy of what you're worthy of. So that is, again, Kardec says that pride and selfishness is the two worst things that we have to combat. Pride and selfishness. So do away with judging others if you want to fill yourself with, again, spiritual joy, peace, contentment, alignment with God. You don't need to be a hoarder and have everything for yourself. You don't need to take advantage of any situations. You see, a lot of times today we see all kinds of political figures and governors and this and that, things that make no sense at all. With and we have to be very, very careful because once you get power, you can be very easily corrupted if you are not aligned with God. The more God, the less self. The more God, the less you, because you become aligned with Him, with the divine. And that's who we are. We are little pieces of divinity, except that we need to want to do these. We can't just merely say, I want to be happy, I want to be joyful. It's an exercise. You know why? Because it's merit based. It's something that you will fill yourself with and you will feel good about it. If somebody gives it to you, it's just about happiness. But if you work and you feel that engine inside of you producing that, then you feel, you become. It's not just about a sense of humor. And another thing that I wanted to bring out, and we're just about the last, when we free our minds and hearts from envy, from resentment, again, it's the same thing. Once we do that, we really can enjoy, appreciate our own and other people's well-being. Let's be happy for other people's happiness. That is the principle of being full of joy. Once we can really rid ourselves from us and really feel happy when someone comes and tells you something worked out. A lot of times we say that we want people to be successful, but in reality, we want them to be successful, but sometimes not more than us. And that's a very brutal reality that if we look within ourselves, maybe we're doing that. So we have to be, compassionate, but we have to be motivating too. We have to look at other people's happiness as if when they are happy and joyful, we can get some of that as well because we're all one. We're all united. So it's a very, very powerful thing. It's a very powerful thing when we really decide that I don't want to be a self-centered, happy person, but I want to be other-centered, joyful person. Joy comes from everything that I give. Joy comes from everything that I appreciate on my brother and sister, on every judgment that I don't pass because I don't know that person's story. I don't know where they came from. And another thing is be grateful. A joyful person is a grateful person. And you know what? There are people that will find a solution to every problem. You come up with them with a problem and these people will find a solution. They find a way to solve it. And then there are the other type of people that will find a problem in every solution. Isn't that so? You come up with a solution and they come up with a problem with a solution. You say, well, we can do it this way. Oh, but you know what? You say, but I think it'll work this way. What if we try? Oh, but have you seen? So there are some people that they decide that they want to live that way. And it's a decision that we can make to be full of joy, to find a solution to every problem. There's always a way, always. If you exercise joyfulness, if you are attuned with the Lord and understand that He is with you the whole time. He's cheering for us. Look, we've been through so much in life, right? And we're not abandoned. We're still here and there's so much more to come. It's not worth for us to just give our life to others to make us feel in any way. So the psychology of this whole thing is taking, let's put in, just plain terms, take the bull by its horns, take the wheel on your own car and drive it. Don't allow, the more you give people responsibility for your life, the more you will also blame them every time that something doesn't go right. But the minute you start taking responsibility, the minute that you decide, I can own my life, I can actually make choices that are just, I can be full of joy. I can make a choice to rid myself from my pride, from thinking that I'm better. Let me just stop judging. I can get rid of my hoarding, keeping everything. Everything's for me. Let me go to the market and get everything, every single pill, every single medicine. Let me make sure everybody has it too. That's filling yourselves with power because you become one, united with everybody else. And that's what we are. We're all part of the same thing. We're all children of God. And God doesn't love anybody more than you. I just had a question here. Glaucia says, some of us usually wait for someone else to be joyful, but I will be attentive to that. I appreciate your words today. Thank you. Thank you, Glaucia. You're right. Sometimes we wait for others to be, again, for someone else to be joyful. But it's our responsibility, and how amazing that is, that you are the owner of your life. You don't have to please anybody else. But you can't live a life of selfishness. You can't live a life of self-centeredness and be full of joy. The minute you decide to do to others, the minute you decide to say, you know, as of today, and maybe we can take that from this talk. We talked a lot about happiness and joyfulness. Happiness is what happens to me. Joyful is what I can give out. Every time that I do something for somebody else, I can guarantee that I'm building that joyfulness. Every time that I depend on somebody else to make me happy, I am giving complete control of my life to that person. And you know what? Nobody promises us that they're going to love us, that they're going to do the right thing for us, nobody can do that. You know what? Because nobody has the power to do that. Only we have the power to really feel empowered. So don't give other people the responsibility for your life. You want to be joyful? Then do things for others. Do things that fills yourself with a sense of, I am part of divinity. I am part of God. Me and him, we're just one. I trust him and I surrender to him, regardless of the circumstances. But if I want to just be a happy person, I will always be depending on circumstances. That is my message, my friends. I hope that you have enjoyed this series. We have been here for 8 weeks. And this is the Psychology of Spiritual Joy. It's on here on Kardec Radio. It's on Good Harvest Fraternal Group. It is on Drops of Light Fraternal Group. And my name is Deborah Beldowicz. I will come back in the future with a different show every time. From time to time, I come back and do a few different things. But you can look for me on YouTube. I have a bunch of stuff there if you're interested. And if you have any ideas, you can reach me on my Facebook or any place here. You'll find me. By the way, that phrase comes from Ancient Wisdom Meets Modern Psychology by Christina Feldman and William Quiggin. Okay, so I just wanted to say that. That's what they talked about with the free the minds and the hearts from envy. And another thing is, don't forget resentment. Let's let go of resentment. Somebody did you wrong. They wrote something on Facebook you didn't like. You don't have to live with them. You don't have to have them on your friends list, but let go of the resentment. A lot of times today we see people writing things and someone doesn't like it. And, you know, I'm always with, look, if someone is causing you harm, if they're poisoning or whatever it is, you can let them go. You can, but don't resent them. That's what they know. You don't have to be with them. You don't have to have them in your circle, but don't resentment. Just allow them to do their journey. Okay? I hope that you all enjoyed this, and I will talk to you soon again in the future. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later, guys.